Okay, we're gonna make a 1-inch filter rack. This particular one's 16 by 25 by 1. That's the beauty of making it. You can make whatever size you want. But what we got is, we're gonna make this particular one, we're gonna do 1 inch out so we can either S or flange to our ductwork. It's gonna come up 1 inch, over 1 inch the width of the filter, and then down. Then we're gonna put a 5/8 inch tab on here. We're going to use the tab notcher to put that on so you can pinch this onto your furnace or flange it onto your ductwork. Since it's 16 by 25, it's 25 inches, 16, and 25, which is 66 inches. And the measurements I gave you, 1, 1, then that'd be 3, 4, and then 5/8. Our cut size is going to be 4 5/8 by 66 inches long. So we're going to cut our sheet of metal 66 inches long, and then we'll cut a piece 4 5/8 wide, and that'll be our cut size. 66 inches long, and we're going to just cut it to length on the shear. Now there's 2 ways of doing this, depending on what equipment you have. We'll mark the scribe at 4 5/8. And then we can cut it by hand. There's our piece, 4 5/8 by 66. Or we can come over to the tin knocker slitter that has a adjustable throat up to 24 inches. And we can set this up, if there's a scale on top, we can set this up at 4 5/8. And we can run our 66 inch piece 4 5/8 by 66. So now we got 2 pieces that are cut 4 5/8 by 66 inches. One is the old school way that you just use a pair of snips. And the other way we use the tin knocker slitter and got a real accurate straight cut and did it a lot faster, more efficient. We marked 25 inches from each end, and that leaves us our 16 inches in between. You can either use a square or I just have some pieces cut to use for a square. You just line it up on my crow's foot, draw a straight line across to 25 inches. So now we got 25, 16, and 25. So now we have to mark it out. We're going to mark our first 1 inch, then we'll go 2 inches, 3 inches, and 4 inches, and then what's left over will be the 5/8 at the other side. And you mark all from the same side, because if you're off just a little bit, all your measurements will be wrong. So what you want to do is just make all your measurements from the one side. So we're going to go 1 inch all the way across, set the scribe at 2 inches, 3, and our last one's 4, and that'll leave us 5/8 left over. Okay, so now we have to put a notch in. All we're going to have is 1 inch of material holding this together. So what we got to do is notched out 2 inches. So all we go is to our 2 inch line, take this same piece of metal, it's a 90 degree, so it's a 45 each way. And then with that 1 inch piece, we got to come from the other way and notch it. Okay, now we need to notch it with our snips. Okay, then what we have is, these come in 1 inch this way, so what we got to do is notch 1 inch in, and then we got to mark it and notch 1 inch in on the ends. Okay, so we go to our first line, which is this one's the 5/8. 1 inch in, just notch it at a 90 degree, right on the lines. Then the second one's the 1 inch by 1 inch. We just notch that out on the lines. Okay, now that we have it all notched, we'll go over and run it through the tab notcher to put the tab on the 5/8 side. Well, we have this set up, we have our tab notcher, it's adjustable for the depth of whatever you want for the tabs. But we have it set up at 5/8 of an inch. our tabs notched, now we're ready to bend it. We need to bend this first inch up at a 90, and we just go to our notches. Now we flip it over, we got to bend our other 90 at the 1 inch. Bend this up at a 90. Then all we have to bend is the tabs up at a 90 degree to complete it. The end pieces we have to build, they're 16 inches long. There's a flange on the inside of these. I flange it over so there's not a sharp edge. I put a 1/2 inch flange. So this side will be a 1/2 inch bent in, 1/2, plus the 5/8 for the tab. The other side will be 1/2, 1, and 1. So that one there will be 2.5. So we'll cut 2 pieces for the ends. We'll use the shear and cut these to length 16 inches long. This one here, we have the 1 inch and up 1 inch and down 1/2, so we got 2.5 inches. You either cut this by the shear, cut it by hand. Now the other one, we'll run it through the slitter to show you how easy it is to adjust if you're going to build several of these. The slitter is real easy to adjust if you got several pieces to cut. Really makes it a lot easier for you. We're going to mark 1 inch at each end. This is the 2.5 inch wide piece. Mark our 1/2, that's the flange that's going on the inside so we don't have a sharp edge. Then we got to add 1 inch to that, so we're going to mark 1.5 inches. So now what we have is the piece marked 1 inch on each side. Now what we have to do is put a notch in it and bend this. So we notch the 1 inch side. We'll bend this piece and assemble it, and then we'll build the other side. We're ready to bend the 1/2 inch flange first. What we got to do is just put a little bit of pressure on it. We don't want to smash it completely over, because you can smash it and we can't get it open back up. Flip it over, bend this 1 inch at a 90. So what we have is a 1/2 inch flange, 1 inch, and then our 1 inch that connects to our duck. Now we'll put this piece together and then build the other side. We're ready to assemble the end. The 1/2 inch slides inside. Then I use a snap lock punch, reversed out so the dimple comes outward, so if you go inward it catches the filter. With that 1 inch flange I'm able to get 2 snap locks in there to hold it. So we have this, that's our joint we're using, our 1/2 inch. So the end is assembled on this side. This is the tab for the snap lock punch. I face this outward, otherwise it catches the filter when it's on the inside. Now we're going to bend the final piece. We've got to mark the ends, 1 inch. Now this is our 1/2 inch flange that we just snap locked together on the other one. And then we got to go the 1.5 inches. And then that, we got our 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and then that leaves our 5/8 for our tab notch. So now what we got to do is we notch the 5/8 to 1 inch mark right on the lines at a 90 degree. Now we're ready to run it through the tab notcher and bend it. So now we're ready to bend our 1/2 inch flange. Now we flatten it out, but we don't completely smash it. We still want to leave it open just a little bit. Now we have our 5/8, the 1 inch, and then we got our 1/2 inch flange that goes on the inside of the filter. We assemble it just like the other one. That's the reason you don't smash that over, because it makes it a lot easier to put that together. You don't have to spread it apart with a screwdriver. Snap lock punch outward. Now we have our completed filter rack for our 1-inch filter, 16 by 25.